Okay, so imagine this for a moment. Imagine that the universe isn't just strange, but fundamentally unsettling. Imagine that the deepest theories of physics, cosmology, and philosophy aren't simply trying to explain reality, but accidentally revealing possibilities so disturbing that scientists themselves sometimes hesitate to think about them for too long. Number 10. Quantum immortality and the many worlds interpretation. According to quantum mechanics, reality may not follow a single path. Instead, every moment could involve countless branching possibilities. At each decision point, the universe may split into separate timelines where every possible outcome occurs. This idea comes from the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, first proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957. In this view, every measurement, every random event, every tiny quantum interaction creates new branches of reality. In one branch, you turn left. In another, you turn right. Both outcomes happen, but in separate versions of the universe. Now imagine what that means for something even more serious: death. The concept known as quantum immortality suggests that from your own subjective perspective, you may only experience the branches of reality in which you survive. Whenever a situation could potentially kill you, the universe splits again. In most branches, you die, but in at least one extremely unlikely branch, you somehow survive. Your consciousness, according to this interpretation, would always continue in the branch where you remain alive. To outside observers in other realities, you died, but from your own perspective, you simply survived another near miss. Over time, this would create a strange and unsettling future. You would continue living through events that should statistically kill you: accidents, illnesses, disasters, yet somehow you always end up in the improbable branch where survival occurred. Eventually, everyone around you would still die. Their consciousness would continue in their own surviving branches, but not necessarily the one you experience. You would continue forward in a timeline that becomes increasingly unlikely, increasingly strange. And if this interpretation were true, death would not be something your consciousness ever experiences. Instead, it would be something it spends eternity narrowly avoiding. Number 9. The Great Filter Ahead. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi asked a question that still puzzles scientists today. Where is everybody? The universe is unimaginably vast. It contains hundreds of billions of galaxies, each filled with hundreds of billions of stars. Many of those stars have planets. Some of those planets should be capable of supporting life. Given the age of the universe, 13.8 billion years, intelligent civilizations should have had more than enough time to spread across the galaxy. Yet when we search the cosmos, we find nothing. No signals, no evidence, only silence. One explanation is known as the Great Filter. The theory suggests that somewhere in the development of intelligent life, there exists a barrier so difficult that almost no civilization ever passes it. Something prevents advanced societies from spreading into the stars. The terrifying question is where that filter lies. Maybe it's behind us. Perhaps the origin of life is extremely rare. Maybe the leap from simple cells to complex organisms almost never happens. If that's true, humanity may already have passed the hardest stage. The galaxy could be empty simply because very few species ever make it this far. But there's another possibility. The filter might not be behind us. It might be ahead. Something could be waiting for every civilization that reaches our level of technology. Something that consistently destroys them before they become interstellar. It could be artificial intelligence, self-replicating nanotechnology, climate collapse, nuclear war, or some technological disaster we haven't even imagined yet. If the Great Filter lies in the future, then the silence of the universe isn't comforting. It's a warning. Number 8. Quantum civilizations. In 2012, Nobel Prize-winning physicist Frank Wilczek proposed a strange idea. What if there were structures that repeat not in space, but in time?
These objects, called time crystals, would exist in a state of perpetual motion without consuming energy. Instead of repeating patterns across space like normal crystals, they would repeat patterns across time. For years, this sounded impossible, but in 2017, scientists successfully created microscopic time crystals in laboratory experiments. If such structures can exist at small scales, some theorists wonder whether far more advanced versions could exist at larger ones. Imagine a civilization capable of encoding consciousness inside a time crystal structure. Such beings would not experience time as a sequence of moments the way we do. Instead, they might exist across time all at once, perceiving past, present, and future simultaneously as a single structure. To them, the entire history of humanity might already be visible. Every moment of our civilization could appear like a completed film they can observe from beginning to end. They might already know how our species disappears. And if this interpretation were true, death would not be something your consciousness ever experiences. Instead, it would be something it spends eternity narrowly avoiding.
Number 7. Simulation decay. In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed a famous argument about simulated realities. He suggested that at least one of 3 possibilities must be true. First, civilizations always destroy themselves before developing the technology to run detailed simulations of their ancestors. Second, advanced civilizations simply choose not to run such simulations. Or third, we are almost certainly living inside a simulation right now. The reasoning is statistical. If advanced civilizations can create realistic simulations, they might run millions or billions of them. That would mean simulated realities vastly outnumber the original base reality. If that's the case, the probability that we are in the single original universe becomes extremely small. But if we are inside a simulation, that raises a frightening possibility. Our entire universe depends on the stability of whatever system is running it. The beings operating the simulation might face resource shortages. Their civilization might collapse. They might simply lose interest in our particular experiment. Reality itself could end instantly if the simulation were shut down. No warning, no explanation. One moment the universe exists. The next moment, it simply stops running. Number 6. Boltzmann brains. In the 19th century, physicist Ludwig Boltzmann was studying thermodynamics when he realized something deeply unsettling about probability. In an infinite universe, random fluctuations of particles should eventually create every possible configuration of matter, even extremely unlikely ones. This includes something as complex as a human brain, complete with memories and consciousness. The disturbing part is that it's actually far easier for a random fluctuation to create a single brain than to create an entire universe with billions of years of history leading to that brain. Such a brain would spontaneously appear in empty space with memories of a life it never actually lived. It might remember childhood, relationships, and experiences that never truly happened. For a brief moment, it would be completely convinced it had always existed. Then it would disappear again. Statistically speaking, some cosmologists argue that random Boltzmann brains could vastly outnumber normal observers in the universe, which leads to a disturbing question. How do you know you're not one of them? Your memories could be random patterns created a second ago. Your entire past might be nothing more than a cosmic coincidence. Number 5. The dark forest hypothesis. Some scientists and science fiction writers have suggested another explanation for the silence of the universe. The cosmos might operate like a dark forest. In this forest, every civilization is a hidden hunter. Survival depends on staying silent and undetected. The reason is simple. In space, communication across interstellar distances takes years, centuries, or even millennia. By the time you receive a message from another civilization, you have no idea how much they may have changed. They might have developed weapons far beyond your understanding. In such a dangerous environment, the safest strategy may be to eliminate any unknown civilization before it has the chance to eliminate you. Under this logic, advanced species hide their presence and quietly destroy any civilization that reveals its location.
Humanity, however, has been broadcasting radio signals into space for more than 70 years. Our transmissions expand outward at the speed of light, announcing our existence to the galaxy. If the dark forest hypothesis is correct, we may have already made a fatal mistake. Somewhere out there, something might have hurt us, and it might already be on its way. Number 4. False vacuum decay. Quantum field theory suggests the universe may exist in different energy states. Our current universe might not be in the lowest possible state. Instead, it could exist in what physicists call a false vacuum, a condition that appears stable but isn't truly permanent. At any moment, a random quantum fluctuation could trigger a transition to a lower energy state called the true vacuum. If that happened, it would create a bubble where the laws of physics are completely different. This bubble would expand outward at the speed of light. Inside it, the fundamental forces of nature would change. Atoms would no longer behave the way they do now. Chemistry would stop functioning. Matter itself might not even be stable. Everything within the bubble would instantly cease to exist in any recognizable form. And because the bubble expands at light speed, we would never see it coming. The universe would simply end without warning. Number 3. The dark side of the anthropic principle. The physical constants of our universe appear perfectly tuned for life. Even tiny changes would make stars, atoms, or galaxies impossible. The anthropic principle suggests we observe these values simply because we exist in one of the rare universes where life can form. But if there are infinitely many universes with different physical constants, there may also be countless near-miss universes, places where the laws of physics are almost suitable for life, but not quite. In such universes, consciousness might exist in unstable environments where complex life cannot fully survive or die. Beings could exist in states of perpetual instability, aware but unable to function properly. If the multiverse exists, these failed universes might vastly outnumber the successful ones like ours, meaning reality could be filled with countless worlds where consciousness exists only to suffer. Number 2. The omega point and forced resurrection. Physicist Frank Tipler proposed a controversial theory known as the omega point. He suggested that if the universe eventually collapses in a big crunch, the final moments could contain infinite computational power. In that final instant, an infinitely powerful intelligence might emerge capable of simulating every conscious mind that has ever existed. That includes you. This entity could resurrect every person who has ever lived, recreating their minds inside vast simulations, not necessarily out of kindness, but simply because it has the ability to do so. Your consciousness could be revived again and again, living countless simulated lives for reasons you would never understand. Death would not be an ending. It would simply be the beginning of eternity controlled by something beyond time itself. Number 1. The Big Rip. In 1998, astronomers discovered that the expansion of the universe is accelerating. Something called dark energy is pushing galaxies apart faster and faster. Most models assume this force is constant, but if dark energy becomes stronger over time, the expansion of space could eventually tear the universe apart. This scenario is known as the Big Rip. First, galaxy clusters would separate, then galaxies themselves would break apart. Eventually, the expansion would tear apart solar systems, ripping planets away from their stars. Later, molecules would be pulled apart, then atoms. In the final moments, even atomic nuclei would break apart as space expands faster than the forces holding matter together. Everything in the universe would dissolve into an expanding cloud of subatomic particles. Some models suggest this could happen in about 22 billion years. The universe is already 13.8 billion years old, which means we might be living closer to the end of reality than we realize. And remember, the universe doesn't reveal its secrets to those who rush. It reveals them to those who know how to look. Subscribe and keep listening to the silence.